All right, so today we're diving into something that I think is probably on every business owner's minds these days.
Definitely.
Cybersecurity.
Yeah.
We hear about it all the time, but it can feel kind of abstract. So
Yeah.
we're trying to make it very concrete today.
Right.
And we're really focusing on small and medium enterprises, those SMEs,
Mm-hmm.
because, they're the backbone of any economy, really.
Yeah.
And we found this great guide by Cyprus's cybersecurity pros over at the NCC-CY.
Yes.
And it's specifically designed to help SMEs like the ones listening right now.
Absolutely. I mean, Cyprus actually sees their SMEs as crucial to their economy, and they want to see them thrive in this digital world.
That's great.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, so they're not just, putting out regulations. They're actually trying to give them the tools to succeed.
Exactly. It's all about actionable advice, not just, scaring people.
Speaking of this,
Right.
this should grab your attention because almost half of businesses in Cyprus have been hit by like 3 or 4 cyber attacks every month.
Every single month. Think about that.
Oh, it's awful.
The disruption, the financial hit. We're talking an average of 23,000 euro per attack.
It's crazy. And what's interesting about this document is that it does start by sort of like laying out those stakes.
Yeah.
And, maybe getting you a little bit afraid, but then it really lays
That's
out
the framework.
like how to build a digital fortress for your business.
I like that.
So what's the first brick we need to lay down?
Well, I think it all starts with a really solid security policy.
Okay, so not just like a piece of paper.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's about the culture you create
Right.
from the top down.
Yeah. Everyone needs to be on board.
Exactly. It's like that old saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
And you wouldn't send an employee out to like operate some heavy machinery without training them.
Of course not.
You can't expect employees to be, digitally safe if they don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. And think about it. Over 80% of SMEs believe a cyber attack would be devastating.
Yeah.
So this awareness training is essential.
So it's really about empowering them to spot those red flags.
Exactly. Phishing emails, suspicious links, you name it. They should be your first line of defense.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is power.
So we've got the right mindset, the training. What about shoring up our actual systems?
Right, the tech stuff.
This is where I'm going to admit I'm the worst at this.
Oh, no.
Those software updates,
Oh, yeah.
they drive me crazy.
I know, but they're like those mini vaccines for your computers,
I know.
patching up those vulnerabilities before someone can get in.
It's like leaving the door wide open if you don't.
Worse, because it's not just your computer, it's every app, every program,
Oh, I know.
all potential entry points.
Okay, you've convinced me I'm updating everything as soon as we're done here. So we're being careful, we're updating our stuff. Let's talk about actually building these digital walls.
Okay.
And I think the first thing that probably comes to mind for a lot of people are firewalls.
Sure, the classic firewall.
Yeah. Are those still relevant?
Absolutely.
Huh.
They're like your gatekeepers. They're scrutinizing everything that tries to enter or leave your network.
So they're essential, but they're not the be-all, end-all?
Exactly.
All
They're
right.
just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so what else should we be thinking about when we're building our digital fortresses?
Well,
Well, I know one thing that's been essential for me working remotely and traveling
yeah.
are VPNs.
VPNs are crucial, especially for remote workers or really anyone using public Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, because you might be at a cafe
Exactly.
and think you're being all sneaky working on your business stuff.
Right, and that cafe Wi-Fi could be compromised, someone could be snooping,
Okay.
but with a VPN, it's like you're sending all your data through this encrypted tunnel.
So it's gibberish to anyone trying to listen in.
Exactly. It's like sending your secret files in a locked briefcase.
I love that analogy.
Even in a crowded room, no one can peek inside.
Perfect. So VPN for sure.
And don't forget about your own Wi-Fi.
Oh, right.
That needs to be secure too.
You can't forget the basics.
It's exactly. Cybersecurity is all about layers.
Speaking of layers, this NCC-CY document mentions something called vulnerability scanning
Right.
and penetration testing.
Okay.
Those sound intense.
They sound scarier than they are, I think.
Okay, good, because I don't even know what they are.
So think of a vulnerability scan like a checkup.
Okay, for your network.
Exactly. It's looking for any weak points, anything that could be exploited.
Like a loose brick in your fortress wall.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense. You find the weak spots and then you fix them.
Right. But sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Okay, that sounds very philosophical.
That's where penetration testing comes in.
Okay, so what is that?
Think of it like hiring an ethical hacker.
So like a good hacker.
Exactly. They try to hack into your system, but in a safe, controlled way.
To find the vulnerabilities before the bad guys do.
Exactly. It's like a test run.
So you can see how your defenses hold up under pressure.
Precisely.
It's better to be proactive, right,
Oh,
than
it's
reactive.
100%.
Okay, so we've talked about building those defenses being proactive,
Mm-hmm.
but what happens if something does go wrong?
Right.
We need to talk about backups.
Backups are essential.
I'll admit, this is where I get lazy.
I think a lot of people do.
I'm supposed to back up my computer to,
Yeah.
like, an external hard drive and everything.
Ideally, multiple backups
Okay.
in multiple places.
But why is it so important?
Imagine losing all of your business data overnight.
Okay, that's a scary thought.
Customer information, financial records, everything gone.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Backups are your insurance policy in the digital world.
Okay, I'm convinced, but what if my computer crashes?
Right.
Like, what good is the backup then?
That's why you don't just want one backup, you want multiple.
Okay, so like the classic external hard drive.
That's one, but you also want something off-site.
Oh, like in the cloud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the 3-2-1 rule.
3, 2, 1.
3 copies of your data, 2 different types of storage, 1 off-site.
Okay, that makes sense. Because if something happens to your physical location,
Exactly. You're still covered.
it's like having a spare key hidden at a neighbor's house,
I like that.
just in case.
And remember, backups are only as good as their ability to be restored.
That's a good point.
You need to test them regularly.
It's like having that fire escape route, but then when the fire happens,
Right.
you realize the door's jammed.
Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. Okay, so we've talked about building those walls, shoring up our defenses, making sure we have a backup plan, but what about access?
Access control.
Yeah, like who has the keys to the kingdom?
It's a critical piece of the puzzle.
Because we can do all this work,
Right.
but if someone can just waltz in
Exactly.
and get all the information anyway, what was the point?
This NCC-CY document really emphasizes the principle of need-to-know access.
So not everyone needs access to everything.
Exactly. Think of it like security clearance levels in a spy movie.
I love it.
You wouldn't give the intern the launch codes?
Definitely not.
So strong passwords, no shared accounts, and revoking access when someone leaves.
Oh, crucial.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've done all this work. We're being super careful.
Right.
But what happens if, despite all of our best efforts,
Oh.
there's a security incident?
That's where your incident response plan comes in.
Okay, so like a fire drill for cyber attack.
Exactly. You need to know what to do and who does what.
So it's not just about reacting in the moment.
Right. You need a plan beforehand.
Okay, so what does a good plan look like?
First, you need to identify your critical assets.
So the things that would cause the most damage if they were compromised.
Exactly. Then you need a dedicated team with clear roles and responsibilities.
So everyone knows who's doing what.
Yeah, exactly. And you need clear communication channels, reporting procedures.
It's all documented.
Yes, and you need to test it regularly.
Make sure it actually works.
Exactly. The goal isn't necessarily to prevent every single incident.
Right, because that's probably impossible.
It's about minimizing the damage and getting back on your feet as quickly as possible.
So it's about resilience.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yes.
But this NCC-CY document has a couple more important points I want to make sure we hit.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, we've been talking about all these technical things, building these walls, having a plan, but there's another layer to this whole thing, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Data protection.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about, stopping the bad guys. It's about trust.
Right? It's about protecting your customers.
Exactly. And this NCC-CY document, it really emphasizes how important it is to have a solid personal data protection policy.
It's not just a suggestion, it's the law.
Exactly. But it's also just good business.
Of course.
People need to know that you're taking their data seriously.
Absolutely.
So it's like having, a clear set of rules for how you handle sensitive information.
And making sure everyone in your organization understands those rules.
Right. So it's not just about having this document, gathering dust somewhere.
Exactly. It's about actually living it.
Right. And being able to prove that you're doing it.
Which is why regular self-assessments are so important.
Okay, that makes sense. Like a health check for your data protection.
Exactly.
Now, for SMEs who might be listening and feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this,
Yeah.
are there resources out there to help them, navigate this world of data protection?
Absolutely. The NCC-CY document actually mentions the Cyprus Data Protection Commissioner's Office.
Okay, great.
I've got tons of information and guidance available.
So there's really no excuse for not being up to speed.
Right.
It's not just good practice, it's the law, and there's help available. Okay, perfect. Now, one last thing from this NCC-CY document I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
They mentioned something called operational impact analysis.
Yes.
Which sounds very official and maybe a little intimidating.
It does sound a bit scary.
So break it down for us. What is it and why should SMEs care?
So basically, it's about figuring out how much disruption your business could handle.
Okay.
Like imagine a power outage takes you offline for a day,
Oh, gosh.
or a critical system crashes. How much would that hurt?
Yeah, for some businesses, even a few hours would be a disaster.
Exactly. So operational impact analysis helps you figure out which parts of your business are the most critical
So you can protect them.
and minimize the damage if something does happen,
So it's about knowing your weaknesses,
and putting plans in place to mitigate those risks.
which kind of ties back to everything we've been talking about today.
It all connects.
Backups, incident response plans, this idea of layering your security.
Exactly. You need a holistic approach.
I love it. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of cybersecurity.
It has.
And I have to say, this NCC-CY document, it's really impressive.
It's very well done.
It's practical, it's actionable.
And it's specifically designed for SMEs,
Exactly. And that's what we're all about here on the deep dive.
giving you the information you need to protect your business.
Exactly. So as we leave our listeners to ponder all things cybersecurity, just remember that this is an ongoing process.
It really is.
The landscape is constantly changing.
Absolutely.
So you need to stay informed, stay vigilant, and keep adapting.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So keep those firewalls strong.
Oh. And those backups updated.
Until next time, stay safe and stay secure.
See you next time.